TJ,
Thank you.
I think your PR lady told you I wanted to talk to you about relationships and maintaining relationships while on the road.
I heard some of that.
A little some of
A
that?
glimpse of that, yeah.
All right, so that's what I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
But before we get into that, let's go over some of your resume. I know you signed with Young Money last year
Yeah. Well,
or 2011.
I think it was the end of 2011.
And,
Maybe November of 2000. So basically, 2012 is where it was official. Yeah.
and before then, were you with another label or?
I was totally independent.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's my first deal. These peppermints are good.
Are you hungry?
I am. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But yeah, no, I was totally indie. We were grinding it out on our own, and created a very special type of fan base just on our own, and kind of took it to the next level when I did this major deal.
That's nice. And before that, you were doing gospel music mainly, or were you doing both?
No, I was always, as an artist, I was always R&B soul stuff. As a songwriter, I've always written gospel music. That's where I got my start. But I've never put out any gospel records as an artist.
But I did hear you and your dad singing "Let Go and Let God." Was that at his church?
Yes. Well, I used to travel with my father as a musician, and so we would sing that song after I wrote it for Dwayne Woods. When we were on the road, we'd perform it together after he preached.
All right. So you actually grew up in church.
Oh, yeah.
And New Orleans?
Preacher's kid. Yeah, New Orleans first, and then post-Katrina, my dad started a church in Atlanta.
Okay. But before you just started with Young Money, you were doing keyboards for Maroon 5?
Yeah, well, I've been in Maroon 5 for the last 3 years, and I signed my deal with Young Money while being in Maroon 5. Right after I started is kind of when we...
How'd you start with Maroon 5?
A music director friend of mine came in to work on a tour for them, and they were looking for another guy to play keyboards and vocals. So he recommended me. They flew me out to LA, and it was just basically, we clicked immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was just you jumped straight in and you started playing in their concerts. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. People dream about that.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
All right, and I also know you wrote a book back in 2009, and it's Why Can I Sing About Love?
Yeah.
And what's the deal behind that book?
Well, because I knew very early on that, even though I came from church and was a preacher's kid, as an artist, the call I felt wasn't the gospel music as a singer and a songwriter. So I got a lot of flack for that. And of course, growing up, you heard a lot about, what you're not supposed to sing, and even back to the Ray Charles days, devil music.
Right.
So I decided to address that, and not just address it from my, with my opinion, but address it from a biblical standpoint. So I talk a lot about Song of Solomon in the book, which is basically a book of R&B songs in the Bible. And so yeah, it was my way of kind of putting that argument to rest, because I get questions about it all the time. So I just tell people to read the book.
I got it. And I understand how it is growing up in church, and I never watched BT, MTV, because we had cable, but those channels you kind of skipped over,
right?
And pretended that they weren't there.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have a strict. I think because my father came from a bishop's household and it was Kojic, and they were very strict. My father was always very balanced in the house, so I didn't have that pressure, which I think allowed me to not have to rebel and kind of be a crazy, wild R&B artist where I'm talking about all these crazy things. It was never a rebellious thing for me. It was just what I felt like I was meant to do, talk about love and talk about life. And I just wanted to talk about more things than just God. I could talk about God, but there's so many other things in the world as well. So I appreciate my parents for being balanced and not
Just
really,
strictly black and
being
white.
super strict with me. I think most of the pressure about me doing music other than gospel came from the people, the church people, not really from my house. I think that's what kept me strong.
And that's where I want to go into maintaining relationships. I know your new song is "You're the Only One" or "The Only One."
Only one, yeah.
And when you start the song, you see this young lady and you focus in on her. A lot of people see music now, especially R&B music, being more, I guess, not so monogamous in how they handle love. It's just doing whatever with whoever.
Yeah.
So what makes you focus in on that type of just one person type of love?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for me, it started out, my parents have been married, I don't know, 37 years now.
Wow.
36 maybe. But I always had a good example of, dope love. Two people who had, were really into each other and focused on just each other. For me, I've been married for years. You know what I'm saying? So for my expression is that, and even when I was single, although when I was single, I wasn't with one person, because I think it's important to date different people to figure out what you want and what makes you happy. But the goal was always to find that one that I can chill with and could be my partner and be my friend. And so I always wrote about it. Even if I was single, I was still writing about that, because that was always the goal and the focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you've been married and we talked about your parents and their long relationship. Now I want to talk about how you actually managed to continue your relationships and have strong relationships with people in your life while you're on the road, while you're doing this music thing, and I saw your schedule, you're all over the place for the next several months.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take you through a series of people and ask you how you maintain those relationships. So first, I want to start with the band Maroon 5. Now that you're doing your solo thing, how do you maintain that relationship?
Oh, well, I mean, it's all one and the same with that, because I am doing both. I call this the year of double duty. But I just flew from L.A. We had a gig in Vegas and L.A. last week, and I flew from there to Birmingham for my solo gig. So it's all on the schedule. I know what we're doing all the way until February of next year. So I'm able to book my solo stuff in the breaks when Adam's doing the voice and taping live shows. So I'm doing both. And then also in the fall and in January, my band is opening up, and I'm closing with Morton 5. So I'm able to kill two birds with one stone. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I see how you manage your work relationship. I want to ask you about friendships, because I'm sure you have friends who aren't part of the music industry, who aren't part of what you do as far as entertainment.
Yeah.
How do you maintain those friendships when you have so much going on, and every relationship has to have some maintenance in it?
Yeah, my best friend actually lives here in Charlotte, and we're the type of friends, my real friends, are friends that I don't have to talk to every day for us to be close. We pick up where we leave off whenever we talk, and I pick up the phone when I need to talk to my friend, or we're texting. I think this age is more able to communicate than any other time in the world, because we have so many ways. We got social networks, we got phones, we got Skype, we got all these things. So I'm able to maintain, and I can honestly say I don't have a whole bunch of friends. My friends are my bandmates. So work is they mesh into each other. My best friends are in my band, and in Maroon 5, these are the guys who I'm with more than my own family. So that's really the relationship I maintain. And my friends, like you say, who aren't necessarily in the industry, we make sure we communicate.
Yeah. All right, you said again about family. How do you maintain that relationship? Where is your family located now?
Well, my family, my wife and my children are in Los Angeles. My mother and father are in between New Orleans and Atlanta, back and forth. And we just make it happen. I think you don't know what you do until you're in a situation. And I think once you're in a situation, then you play with the cards that you're dealt. So I I had a show in Atlanta last night. My parents came last night, and my son and my daughter came to the show because they are in Atlanta for the summer. Um, we just make do. You know, my parents get to LA when they can, and you know, if I'm in a city longer than a day, then I'll go see them. Um, just make happen. I don't know how to do it any other way but the way I do it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you said you've been married for 4 years, and you have a little boy and a little girl.
Yeah.
So how does
2 boys and a girl.
How does PJ play daddy and husband and have this career? How do you make that happen?
A lot of Skype, I'll tell you that. I mean, I think that is one of the inventions that has helped a whole bunch because you actually get to see them, you know, and but the main thing is because my father traveled quite a bit, so I think I had some knowledge of it before I was a father myself. He always made sure we felt like he was there, and I when I'm home, I'm just very home. I don't do anything else but be with them, you know. So the time, it's not the amount of time. I think it's the value of the time when I'm with them. So.
All right, and I'm going to ask you one that might be a little strange. How do you maintain your relationship with the private you, the you who people don't know and the people don't see on stage or don't know the music of the person you were before all of this? How do you maintain that relationship?
I'm still the same person. I think you know, people don't realize, but there's a lot of downtime on the road. As much as you're traveling, you know, your job isn't until the nighttime, basically, besides press and stuff in the day. But there's a lot of downtime for you to you know, I'm working on music when I'm on the road because I have a lot of time. But that's the way that's how it's been since I was a kid. Since I started, music was my outlet. So it's no different. It just happens to be my job now. So like I said, they all mesh together. You know, music just isn't my job, but it's the way I express myself. It's the way I, you know, deal with life. You know, so that same way is how I do it now.
And this is the last one. And I was talking to one of my friends, and she sings, and we were talking about your book last night and the whole divide between secular music and inspirational gospel, et cetera, et cetera. And the question that she actually helped me come up with was, with you being on the road and being in the entertainment industry, how do you make time for your relationship with God? How do you maintain that relationship?
Again, I mean, I think it's the same way. I mean, I think the misconception is when you're a gospel artist, then there's somehow more time to put towards God. You know, it's all a job. We're all working, and so you have to maintain that regardless. You know, gospel artist doesn't equal good. Secular doesn't equal bad. You know, it's like I've been in both arenas and seen maybe the people act worse in the gospel arena. You know, to be honest. So I maintain it the same way I always have. You know, and that's just my personal time with God and making sure I keep my relationship up and pray and study the Word when I can. You know, so no different. I don't think. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Cool.
That was easy, right?
Yeah, sure.
I didn't cross.
I like conversation. Yeah.
Me too.
Awesome. Yeah. You won't know unless you try. I've been dealt some good cards, played them in my thought. I've been around the world a couple times, I have to feel. Hey, and man, it's been amazing, but I can't let it faze me. It's just my theory.